We are tracking dangerous conditions in the Sierra Nevada and California. Tahoe avalanche earlier today, as well as winter storm danger. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. This just one of the images coming out as rescuers try to get people that were trapped underneath the snow. This all happening at Palisades Tahoe, one of the ski resorts. It's an Olympic village that's going to be on the west side of Lake Tahoe. You can see how they were feverishly trying to dig underneath the snow. All hands on deck as people tried to listen for those that were trapped underneath the snow. Of course, we have more on abc10.com. Now, in terms of the weather conditions that we were tracking, it was extreme winter storm severity index for the Tahoe Basin in particular. 53-mile-per-hour peak wind gusts earlier today. Some of the highest peaks, though, we're seeing even higher gusts than that. This winter storm really blowing through here during the middle part of the day. That avalanche happening in the morning hours. Now, in terms of the danger, we actually had considerable danger growing, that coming out of the Sierra Avalanche Center. And you can see some of the criteria that they look at. The steep slope, that's inherent in some of those as far as the faces of the Tahoe region. And then weak layer in the snow cover, as well as a trigger. That can be either natural or human-induced. Sometimes they'll be letting off some of those dynamite sticks, especially early in the day, to trigger those landslides, those avalanches, to try to get that before people get on the slopes once the lifts start to open. So the state of the snowpack looks like this. In fact, this is coming out of the Sierra Avalanche Center as of today. You can see all these red and orange dots. This is over the course of December 28th until the current day. And we've had a lot of collapsing and cracking going on, as well as many avalanches observed. In fact, near Carson Pass, we had an avalanche the other day that was captured on video. Everybody escaped. But this just goes to show you, kind of like our earthquakes in California, there's a lot that's happening, but much of it goes unnoticed, or it just is something that is rather minor until somebody gets hurt. Then it starts to get bigger headlines. So the state of the snowpack shapes up like this. On that New Year's Eve, New Year's Day storm, we had a weak layer forming underneath what would be a top layer coming in from later storms. It was a weak storm system, just kind of produced a weak layer of snow. Again, that was the setup. And then we get that next storm coming through that happened over the weekend with new snow on that weak layer, and that increased the danger for avalanches. The snowpack right now tends to be very cold and shallow. We've had temperatures that have been below zero for many of our nights in the Tahoe Basin. And so that's producing that cold and shallow, very vulnerable snowpack. Now, it doesn't necessarily meet the extreme criteria, but definitely something that gets your ears perked up because of what's happening in the high country. You can see the conditions that they were dealing with the emergency personnel, gusty winds, and again, some terrain that's very difficult to get to. All hands on deck, everybody just racing. Some of the things to keep in mind is you always want to have that avalanche pack with you, a beacon and something that can alert emergency personnel where you are if you happen to get trapped underneath the snow. If at all, it's survivable. So anytime you're headed up to the high country, especially the back country, got to have those avalanche kits with you. Here's a look at Donner Summit. This is actually live as we're heading into our Wednesday evening. Nearly impassable travel up there. Camera bouncing around. You can barely make out the road. This is the visibility and how poor it is when you're traveling over the summit on I-80, both west and eastbound. There goes one of the cars. Chain controls in effect. That means if you don't have four-wheel drive, you got to have chains on your tires to make sure you try to make it over the pass as safely as possible. So we've got major driving hazards continuing through tonight. Slick, snow-covered roads, poor visibility will continue, and many travel delays as well as chain controls. Possible road closures even through tonight and early tomorrow morning. That as we look at this winter storm warning in effect until 1 o'clock. Thursday morning. That extends all the way through the Sierra. There's the 80-50 corridor, 80 being on the north side, 50 on the south side. For those of you that aren't aware of that Tahoe Basin situation there, we've got 88, 89, Highway 4, 120. Those all go closer to Yosemite. And much of that winter storm warning will be in effect for those regions as well. Over towards the coast is the coastal flood advisory. Now, the key factor here is this is not due to the amount of rain that's coming in. We actually have concurrent with what's going on with our winter storm, the king tide. So those are high astronomical tides along the Bay Area shoreline. Timing of this is going to be 9 a.m. through noon on Thursday, with our high tide right around 10:30 in the morning. Again, that's going on along the coast. We do have some light showers for the Bay Area, but mostly the valley and the Bay seeing only moderate to minor impacts from our rain event today. It's this year, and we knew this was going to be the case. That was going to see the major impacts from this storm. A very cold storm with snow levels periodically down to about 3,500 feet. Not necessarily accumulating snow much below that, but certainly a cold winter storm hitting us here at the beginning, middle of January. You can see some of those puffy cumulus clouds right behind it, indications that some colder air will continue to rush in for tonight, keeping snow going through at least about 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, the valley starts to dry out. We'll see some patchy frost and fog early tomorrow, but we pick up some gusty north winds overnight tonight through early tomorrow. That will minimize the fog impacts for tonight, but certainly bring us the potential for some frost early tomorrow. At 10 p.m., still looking at some scattered snow showers for the Sierra. The bigger impacts will start to wind down right about midnight. So tomorrow morning, it will be dry, but still slick travel, especially heading into the high country until all of Caltrans and Department of Transportation can get out there and clear some of the roadways to make it a bit more safe, especially for big travel on Friday. It tends to really pile up. The volume of traffic, I should say, really increases for folks wanting to get up into the higher elevations over the weekend. It is a 3-day weekend, in fact, coming off of what was 2 weeks of vacation with some holiday travel. Now we get right back into it with this 3-day weekend upon us. And if you're headed up there for Friday, be prepared for the return of snow by about 10 p.m. Seeing some lighter showers throughout the valley. Again, this weather system will start off a little slow on Friday night, but then really ramp up during the day on Saturday. Right now, it's poised off the coast here. Here it is in the Pacific. You can see that counterclockwise circulation of the low that's going to be pulling in the moisture. Now, the key factor on this one, it's a bit warmer. It is going to bring us a slightly higher snow line, one that is actually needed at this point, because as we start to look deeper into these weather systems giving us rain and snow, we take a look at how we're matching up for the water year so far. Our snow water equivalent fairly low, only about 30 to 40% of average for the northern, central, and southern Sierra. That's going to put our statewide average at 37% average to date. Again, that's if we were to take that entire snowpack, melt it down, how much water would we be able to pull out of that? A very important factor here for California. It provides 1/3 of our water supply during the dry summer months. In terms of our statewide precipitation, now if you look at just sheer numbers, Eureka at 16 inches of rain right now looks pretty good. Compare that to Palm Springs with less than an inch of rain, just slightly over half an inch of rain. But we have such a diverse climate here in California with many microclimates throughout the state that Palm Springs actually is only about an inch behind or so. Same with Eureka. So you can just see the varied nature of how much we have to mark our precipitation and what it actually means, not by sheer numbers, but in terms of what we normally get. Again, our water year starts off October 1st of one year and will take us through this year until September 30th. We've got this active weather timeline shaping up through the rest of the week and the weekend. Dry with patchy morning frost and a little bit of patchy fog tomorrow morning. Mostly cloudy with overnight rain and snow developing. Our snow level will start off fairly low on Saturday, but then during the day it rises to about 4,000 to 6,000 feet. So we'll call it 5,000 feet, just generally speaking. Sunday, we're right back to the dry weather. It's a quick moving storm system, but one that has a decent amount of precipitation with it. Thursday will dry out. Again, that storm system heads its way south. And then as we gear up into our Friday forecast, Friday at 6 p.m. for that evening commute, we're okay. But then during the evening overnight hours is when we start to see that weather system roll on through. Some of the heaviest rain hitting us during the middle of the day. Snow will linger into very early Sunday morning, and then it's out of here pretty quickly after that. Not really impacting many of us that will be out and about. If you plan to head up into the high country during the day on Sunday, should be actually okay. We're going to see minor impacts from this next round of wet weather. 1 to 6 inches expected for Sierra snowfall. In pockets, we'll see higher than that, to about 12 inches or so. With light to moderate rain, we'll pick up roughly about 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch from Sacramento through Stockton, Modesto into the northern San Joaquin Valley. In the northern and central part of the Sacramento Valley, about 1/2 an inch to 1 inch of rain. And again, we'll see some snow along I-5 northbound. Be prepared for difficult travel there if your travel plans take you into Oregon over the weekend. Here's a look at our atmospheric rivers and our water vapor in the atmosphere. This is what I was talking about for that Saturday storm. You can see how it has a little bit of a tap here into some more subtropical type of water feature. And that's going to feed us with higher precip totals for the valley, but also less in the way of snow because that snow line will be a little bit higher. Wednesday, we see another plume of moisture heading our way, but I'm going to show you how some of the weather models are kind of dismissing the fact that we'll get anything in the way of measurable precipitation from that one. By Saturday, we'll start to see another one rolling on through. That's going to keep us in a likely wetter scenario, but also likely warmer. These next weather systems that are rolling through look like they have the potential to bring us that higher snow line and also at least some decent rain coming in. So here's a look at our Saturday storm. Again, it comes rolling through here overnight Friday in through Saturday. Snow up and down the spine of the Sierra up towards parts of the Cascades as well. But this one looks like a little bit better hit for us here in Northern California. By Sunday, it starts to head into Southern California. Some lingering snow showers very early on Sunday for this year, and then things will start to wind down pretty quickly after that. Wednesday's storm system, it just fizzles out as it heads towards us, so it's very likely we'll not have any measurable precipitation from that one. But right behind it, we start tracking that weather system due in for our Saturday outlook, bringing us a return to a chance for showers. In the meantime, let's take a look at those Sierra conditions. Again, part of the factor with this weak layer of snow that's underneath that new snowfall is these cold conditions. So we've got a cold and vulnerable snowpack up there right now. Tahoe and Truckee both falling to about 0 to 5 degrees overnight tonight. Highs will warm to about 30. Highs in the foothills in the 30s and 40s. Some 50s starting to sneak back into the forecast there for the foothills. 50s along the coast, and we'll see those 50s as well inland after morning lows in the 30s. Patchy frost and fog to get us started for our Thursday. We get another weather system due in here for our 5-day regional forecast for the mountains. On Saturday, we'll see snow in the mountains, rain in the foothills, and if your travel plans take you to the coast over the 3-day weekend, be prepared for rain on Saturday, back to the dry weather Sunday and Monday. We'll keep an eye on those king tides as well. As far as our 10-day forecast, we have rain coming back overnight Friday through Saturday. Still cold storm system, as you can see here. And then we get into this warmer environment. That's going to bring rain back late on Friday through Saturday. Higher snow level. We'll watch the avalanche danger as well as the king tides and our opportunity for more rain and snow coming into the forecast. If you have enjoyed this in-depth forecast, be sure to download our ABC 10 Plus app. You can find that on Fire TV, Roku, as well as Apple TV. It's downloadable for free. We have more weather specials like Mega Flood, Water Wasted, and our California Drought Series. We'll hope to see you there. And in the meantime, stay safe out there.